Economic Theory versus Reality by Kylie O'Neill, Dalton Du Bois, Noah Mori, Michael Alderson, and Dylan Compliment.
Number 1, tools of fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is to ensure economic growth of a country. There are two types of policies. Expansionary fiscal policy, where consumers get more money and purchasing increases, government spends more money on the people or cuts taxes. Contractionary fiscal policy, government spending is cut to stop the inflation and taxes are raised. This is a very rare policy used by governments. The main objective of fiscal policy is to take care of local needs of the country to ensure the national interest.
Tools of monetary policy. The goals of monetary policy are to promote maximum employment, stable prices, and moderate long-term interest rates. The main tools of monetary policy are discount rate, reserve requirements, and open market operations. These three tools of monetary policy affect the amount of funds in the banking system.
The Great Depression, which lasted from 1929 to 1939, was all caused in part by the rapid growth of the economy in the 1920s. So when a mild recession hit in 1929, consumer spending slowed, goods piled up, and stock prices were too high to afford. There was also a drought causing the agricultural industry to fail. Because of this, over 30 million shares were traded within 5 days, causing a stock market crash. Shares became worthless, unemployment rose, thousands of banks had to shut down, and people lived in panic with no food or money. The Great Recession, which lasted from 2007 to 2009, was the longest recession the United States had seen since World War II. The recession largely caused by the subprime mortgage crisis, which allowed high-risk people to take out loans on homes and businesses. The economy had also hit a high leading up to 2007, and large banks, real estate, and stock market companies invested so much that when the recession hit, most went bankrupt and failed, leaving the people who also invested in shares broke, which caused thousands to lose their homes. GDP fell by 4.3%, and unemployment skyrocketed to 10% in 2009.
The term classical economics was coined in the first half of the 1800s by Karl Marx. He is considered by some as an important contributor to the development of classical economics. The highlights of the classical economics include: number 1, classical economics is based on 3 key assumptions: flexible prices, Say's law, and savings investment equality. Number 2, the theoretical structure of classical economics is based on a view that the macroeconomy operates in the aggregate according to the same basic economic principles. 3, the economic principles of classical economics indicate that aggregate markets, especially resource markets, automatically achieve equilibrium, meaning full employment. Number 4, classical economics indicates that full employment is achieved and maintained without the need for government intervention, and that government intervention is more likely to cause than to correct macroeconomic problems.
The Keynesian economic theory wants to lower taxes and increase government expenditures. The government wants to lower taxes to stimulate the economy and the demand for money. Everyone wants to keep the demand and the need for resource the same.
To solve the debt crisis, our group decided that classical economics was the best way. The classical economic theory makes more sense because it allows people and businesses to freely buy and sell products, making their own demands, all while the government provides little intervention. Keynesian economic theory allows the government to intervene and spend more money, which only causes the government to go further in debt. Our $20 trillion debt does not need short-term fixes like the Keynesian economics, but long-term solutions to help further in the future, like classical economic theory would provide.
The right explanation for how the economy works, you pursue policies along that line, you're going to have a constructive economy. So basically, the classical economic principles are consistent with liberty and freedom. And the fascinating thing to me is when you look at this country in the past, or any other country around the world, whenever government policies have moved in the direction of these principles, we have seen improved economic conditions. And whenever you've moved away from these particular policies, policies that give people liberty and freedom, we have disappointing economic conditions.